Calvin in California has something I'm not even sure I understand. Time is the enemy for the origin of life. How you doing, Calvin? How can we help?
I'm doing really good. It's a super big privilege for me to be on your show. I really appreciate this, Matt. I got a science question, but it's gonna be real quick, and then I want to kind of take a hit at the morality with abortion thing, if I could.
No, sir.
Would that be okay?
No, sir. You called in with a specific topic. We've already discussed abortion to death. I'm done talking about abortion. Are you going to talk about the topic you called into, or are we going to move on?
Yeah. No, it'll be fine. We'll talk about the one. So this is actually me trying to learn here. But I came across this guy named James Tour, and he's some synthetic chemical biologist or something like that. And he says that in trying to create origin of life in like a lab, they said that time is like the enemy. So how if in a lab controlled and time's the enemy, how in a evolutionary standpoint where time is very extensive, can you come to the conclusion that evolution might have been correct?
So I'm going to answer this in 10 seconds, and then I'm going to let Jim take all the rest of this. You didn't portray a particularly clear understanding of what that person said, so I can't evaluate what they've said. But while time is the enemy of everything, what we can or can't do or replicate in a lab is completely irrelevant to the process of evolution over the course of history of our planet. Go ahead, Jim.
So you're also taking a bad understanding, and I say bad because you weren't able to explain it to a point where where either Matt or myself could understand it to even begin to know what you're talking about. But you're taking one scientist, one single individual who may or may not be an evolutionary biologist against an entire discipline that is so divided up into subdisciplines by species. You know, you have people who study just whales and the evolution of just whales. You have and other animals and things like that. So you're taking this one person's thing and applying it to a body of knowledge that is greater than what we have about gravity. Because every time we study evolution on plants or we study, on any of these things, you're taking this one person's word against all of that evidence. Even if he's right, does that make any sense to go against the entire consensus of evolutionary biology since Darwin, to go against all of that built up knowledge? Does that make any sense to take one person's word for it?
I mean, maybe not just one, but there's a lot of things that, I have questions on. I'm not like a science guy. I think that there's a frustrating way to find God, honestly. So I was just a good question I wanted to ask you so I can learn a little.
Well, so I would suggest actually getting some biology books or some books on evolution and go read those, because neither Matt nor myself are evolutionary biologists. So if you want to understand what evolution is and how evolution works, you could go do that.
All right. Well, thank you for the.
By the way, there's a couple of really good websites out there on evolution. And I don't have the links right off the top of my head, but and some good books like Jerry Coyne's book, which I have up above me, which is Faith versus Fact. And there's plenty of other things about evolution where it's taught properly from scientists in a way that's it's approachable. But there's some really good websites out there as well. Anyway, I appreciate the call, Calvin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure thing.